Well, hey, friends, I'm here with Heather Barnes, and she's going to share her testimony about what happened in her life and in her finances back in May of 2016. I was teaching this exact same series, The Blessed Life, and she had made the decision that week, the second week of the series, that she was going to start tithing, and that's something she hadn't done for a long time. But she had heard the very first message of the series, The Blessed Life, and it's all about the heart, and it's all about trusting and obeying God with your finances. And so I'm here with Heather. Heather, tell us about that morning in May and you coming to church and what that was like.
That morning, I had made the conscious decision that going forward, that was going to be my year to put my faith and my finances in God and just be true to tithing. And I'd had that reminder and education in the FPU class. And so that was the morning, and I wrote my check, and I felt great about going, and just the act of putting the check in the thing, like it felt great because that was an act of faith. And then Pastor John says, if you've got money in your pocket or your coat or whatever, pull it out. And I thought, this would have been a great opportunity to give and just keep giving. And I had no cash, I had nothing. And so I had to, the man in front of me, he had cash, and he spun and gave it to me. And then John says, come up to the stage, and he chooses me. And I'm thinking, wow, this is such a great note from God saying, like, this is what I want you to do. I'm pulling you out, I'm picking you out. And I ended up on stage, and here we do this exchange, and I end up with no cash, and then I end up with $100, plus he wouldn't let me give the money back. So I think I had like $120 or something that I didn't have when I walked in, which is like, where'd that all come from? So it just felt like God said to me, I told you, if you trust in me, I'm going to give back. I'm going to bless you, bless your life, bless your finances. And that was like a huge on the head, like, I told you, now I'm proving it. Let me prove it to you.
Yeah, I love that story because you made the decision because of the week before and what we had talked about, that you were going to trust and obey. And then I do this illustration called The Great Exchange. And if you haven't seen it, you can go on our app and you can watch the second Blessed Life series teaching called It's All About the Heart Part 2, where I give out some money, give out $100. And Heather, you were the participant of that. And so you got the $100. Now you had $120. And what happened after that? You step off the stage, and God is not done in your life. He's doing some really cool things for you.
No, at the same time, I was taking this Financial Peace University class as a mission to help me get out of debt, to leave a job that made me miserable, put me in harm's way. And I mean, it was breaking down all of the best parts of me. And I felt like God had sent me to be a laborer in that position, but I had to be patient for the right time to exit. And so somewhere in that range of months, a lot of things happened, and I was able to pay off great deals of debt. I think I was probably the top debt payer offer in my class. At this point, I've lost track, but I know that I've paid probably about $10,000 off in debt. And I did it after quitting my career job and taking this little business that I own. We started with the debt of a little sander. And from there, we've turned it into, God's turned it into a business that's at the beginning of a whole new turning point. I've met people that have been the perfect connections to help me be a leader in what I do. So I'm not just creating things, I'm actually helping support and breathe into other people. And I'm never shy, as much as I can be, about talking about how God got me where I am. I always make that reflect in what I'm doing. I've been asked to be an instructor teaching what I do for an online business website. I lead a group of over 120 other artisans across the country. We just got invited as a group of other artisans to be at the Indianapolis Home Show, where, as you know, like, these great big dog businesses are there, and we're just this little thing, and like we're among people from HGTV, and all because I said, I'm gonna just have faith in you. And the outpouring of things to give back to me from God have been just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that we say around here at Waterline is favor follows faithfulness. And I can see that in your story. That's one reason why I loved your story and I wanted to share it with more people. But you've been so faithful in giving to the Lord and trusting him and obeying him in your finances. And I know Financial Peace University, we offer that class every year throughout the year here at Waterline. I'm glad that you were able to take it with us. And I know that it was powerful for you in giving a framework to how to manage your finances. But it really is a heart thing, and it really is a decision that you had to make to say, I'm going to submit to the Lord, I'm going to trust the Lord, and I'm going to obey him with my finances. I'm really proud of you in doing that, and you have a story that you're going to share with us about a person in your life that you were able to touch with your ministry. So share with us, Heather, a story about a piece you created that was meaningful for you.
One of the most impacting pieces I've done, which, these are just pieces of furniture and they go in their homes and they're great and they mean a lot in our front driveway in the summer. Anybody who drives by knows that we're out there working on our furniture. And somebody that I'd never met drove up one day and he stopped and he started talking to me, and Dave and I were both in the garage. And he proceeded to ask me if we could make a piece for him. And, sure, what do you have in mind? And he's like, I'm not really sure. And he proceeds to tell me that he's looking for a piece in memory of his wife. This man is probably younger than me.
Wow.
And I'm like shaking now just telling you, because he said, I drove up and down this road past your house with my wife. And she told me that when I die, I want you to get her to make me something. And that just shocked me, because she had seen my Facebook page and I had never met the woman, but this young woman passed away, and she had a request that her husband would get the courage to step out of his car and say, I don't know why I'm here, but my wife made me promise that I would get something from you to put her pictures on for our kids, a place where they could sit and remember me. And I thought, wow, that's a powerful thing. Not only does she want this, and she's asking for something after she. And so I asked him, like, what are you thinking? Like a shelf, a bench, what is it you want? He's like, I don't know, but I feel like God said stop today and that you would know. Well, in our garage at the time is this 1920s tiger oak bed that David had. We had no idea what to do with it. So David just started making into this massive bench. And I'm thinking, the amount of work that's going to go into that, nobody's ever going to be able to want it. It's huge. It's like a giant day bed. And I'm like, whatever, just work on it. So it was only about 50% done. And this man's looking around and I'm like, what do you want? And he's like, what's that? And I said, oh my gosh, nobody's going to want that. It's huge. It's da-da-da. And he goes, I really think that that's what I'm supposed to get. He said, if that could be a bench and we put some padding on it, my kids could sit there and talk to their mom. Oh. And it had like a big headboard that actually would be the back of the bench. And his first intention was to put her pictures on the back of that. So he asked me to name him a price, and I felt in my heart like I couldn't even give him a price. And he's like, just whatever it is. So we worked out a deal, and he picked the fabric, and I went in the garage many times and just sat on it and cried, because I was like so touched that this was all happening and a part of me. And that God moves in these things when the really crazy things happen, because this is the first time I felt moved to write scripture on a piece that was for somebody versus taking that fear of them accidentally seeing it and be offended or upset or whatever. Hopefully not, but I flipped the bench over and I kind of wanted something that talked about strength. And at this time, I can't think what the scripture was, but in big red pen on the bottom of that bench, I wrote an entire scripture. I mean, it was this big.
Oh, I love it.
And I thought, it's going to be screwed down. I know it's there. He may never know it till he moves it years from now. And I sat across the street from him because he lives in my neighborhood, and we were talking later, and I realized that on his arm this gives me chills, on his arm from his elbow to his wrist is that identical scripture.
No
and that was his
way.
wife's favorite scripture. And he had it tattooed after she passed, maybe before, I'm not sure, but it was stamped on his arm. I was like, what a confirmation that.
Wow, that's incredible. What an incredible story.
I know. And we've become friends with them and try to help them in different ways. And I know David's connected with him, man to man. So that has been, in the whole scheme of everything, the most impacting thing that I've been able to be a part of.
Oh, Heather, I love that story. Heather, I want to thank you so much for sharing that story with us and sharing your testimony with us and being so bold in your faith. And it is affecting and influencing people's lives. I know people probably are very curious about what's her company, what is it you're doing, what is it you're building, and the artwork that you do. Can you share with us about that?
Yeah. So I own a small business. The business name is Delilah Tree. And I have a unique, touching story about that name, but I'll save that for another time. What I do is, it started off, I just restored or painted vintage furniture. And from there, I now do custom furniture. David has actually kind of climbed on board, and he's building furniture that I'm finishing. We have a space where we sell some of our things in Noblesville Square at Whimsy, and we're at the financing options for leasing and building in Cicero that we hope to turn into a store and a workshop. So most of my work sells online through groups like the Artisan Markets, where you're watching the news yesterday. We were actually interviewed live from the Indianapolis Home Show. And it's a group where people who do like what I do sell their custom done professional furniture pieces. So my website is just a Facebook page, and I operate all my things through social media because it's the 21st century. And if you wanted, you could find and follow our page on Facebook at Delilah Tree.
Thank you, Heather, so much. One last thing. We got our Malachi 3:10 projects, the little commitment cards back, and I was reviewing those this morning, praying over those, and I came across a young lady who had filled it out, and on the top of it, she wrote in pen, "I'm terrified. I'm terrified." And I can resonate from my journey and my faith journey with that, and I know you can as well. If you had a chance to talk to that lady, what would you say to her when she's saying at this point in her journey, "I'm terrified"? What would you say?
You're human. I mean, if you're not terrified, then you're probably not human. It's natural to be terrified, but that's kind of good, because if you're not terrified, then you're not acting in faith. It takes being terrified to know that you're really doing something against your grain. And kind of if you got to overcome the terrified, and that's good, because terrified means you need to spread your wings and just let God do the work.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Heather. Have a great day, and thank you for letting me interview today.
You're welcome. Thank you.